Hey everyone, in this video, we're going to be talking about option B, which is following this video if you want to cut out your name, like an example that I had in the room, a couple of them floating around. And the important part about this is understanding that lowercase letters that fall below, like the line we're writing, examples like G, Y, and J, are things we got to, use uppercase instead because we are going to be, through the bottom, or if we use those. So we got to make sure, or following through the bottom if we're going to use those. So we got to make sure we use uppercase letters so we're all above that bottom line. All right. So once again, stay away from letters that drop below. Now, how we're going to do this is go into our assignment. And if you watch any of the other video about the solid nameplate, this is going to be a little different. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take our original cut line. All right, we have this original 2x2. This shows us what our space was in our last assignment. Now we have 3 times the space. You can see that we have a 2x2 over here and another one over here. So we have a 6x2 space. Now, with that being said, what we want to do with this original cut line is we want to stretch it out. So I want to click and drag it, and I want to keep it in the line, or inside. So get it to the edge or really close to the edge. All right, I'm going to kind of zoom in so we can kind of see where my line falls. Once again, that's the Alt and the scroll wheel. At the same time, now I have that closer to the edge, but also it's still inside. All right, or it should be. If it's not, move it in a smidge. All right, now I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side. So just kind of zooming in, clicking and dragging, stretching that original cut line out, and once again, keeping it on the inside. Mine said something like 5.98 inches out of the 6. It's really close to being the full 6, but not quite there. Make sure it's on the white space or in the white space. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to click and drag and move this piece down. When I'm clicking and dragging, notice the height. It started out being like 2, almost 2, and we're going to bring it down to it, and it says 0.31. And the reason why we're going to 0.31 is it's 5/16 of an inch, and that is about the same number in decimal form. So 0.31, 0.32 would be just fine also, because it would be a little bit above, and then we drop that there. Now what we've done is we've made our cut line, original cut line, basically the full solid bar that's going to be sunken into the little holder that this nameplate's going to be inside of. Now, what we want to do next is use our type tool, and we're going to click and we're going to type your name, and I'm just going to use my last name here. Once again, this is where if we look at it and we have lowercase letters that drop below the line, like you can see all mine are above, we want to avoid them or use uppercase. Now, with that being said, after we do this, we want to pick our font out or our text out. Things that I would tell you that we want to be, aware of is if I go to the selection tool here and I have it selected, if I select down into this, I can go kind of march my letters and things through by just using the cursor keys. Things that I want to kind of be aware of, I'm just going to zoom in really quick, is I want to make sure that my letters, are thick enough where they're not going to fall apart. Because what we're going to do here is we're going to end up actually cutting all the way around these. It's just going to be the cutout, not the full piece of wood or the full 6x2 space here. So we want to make sure that these don't get too wispy. And I can see that sometimes in these M's right here, it gets a little thin. We could try it out, but if it just breaks, we want to make sure that we, change that up. And if you get any of them, I would suggest bold. Now, with that being said, once again, this is kind of selecting through, select that. Finding the one that I want to use. I'm going to use a pretty generic, boring text. All right? One that's nice and thick. Okay? It's like that right there. Now, the next thing I want to do is move this down into my piece. And I'm going to actually move it down so it's going to be dropped down below a little bit, but I'll adjust that in a second here. And then I want to make it the size that I want it in my space. So I'm going to click and drag the edge and kind of stretch that in the direction I want it to go and get it the right height. And I can kind of move this around where I want it to be here. But you want to decide to make it however tall you want it. And stretch once again the opposite way. Use this entire space, or relatively the entire space. I'm going to leave a little bit on my edges, about the same on both sides. And here I want to decide, do I want it the way it is, or do I want to stretch it some more and bring that down? All right, and stretching it's fine. Actually, I'm going to stretch mine out here and make it so my bottom of my letters actually intersect that original cut line that I had. So if you see when I click and drag this, my blue is actually dropping down below subtly. All right, so make sure that we're connecting or dropping below, intersecting with that original cut line. Now, the next step that we need to do is we need to make this, I guess, text or type a line. So what we do is right click, and there's this thing called Create Outlines. When we hit this, it turns our lines that we just had in the type tool into shapes. So now all of these are independent shapes. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a selection of both things. So I'm going to hold on the Shift key, and I'm also going to click and select my original cut line path. So now I have my line selected, my original rectangle, and my name. Lastly, I want to do a thing called the Shape Builder. The Shape Builder tool is a tool that looks just like this. All right? It works when you click and drag through the two selections, and it will then combine them, making this one shape. So make sure you click and drag through all your little pieces. Sometimes if they end up being little and wispy, you got to zoom in so you can see and make sure that you've selected through all those pieces. All right? Once we have this done, we have an entire shape. We want to go to the selection tool, and we want to think, do we want it laser engraved, or do we want it the plain color wood? And that's either turning the fill color either white, or which is turning it off, the laser off. Oh, there's the bell. Or black, and then having this laser engrave the wood also, which makes it a little thinner, which is okay. We have things for that. And then lastly, we just want to make sure we have a cut line on the outside. So we want to make sure we select this default fill and stroke. All right. I forgot I had that set up is the clear inside. So if you want to, once again, once you select that default, now your cut line is set up right. If you wanted to make it engrave on the inside, you'd also select that black. I'm going to leave mine white, so it's just a normal wood color. All right. Now, I can see my name. I can see my shape is all inside my white. And this is where all I have to do is do a file save. And then this assignment is ready for the Dropbox. All right. Good luck with the Shape Builder tool. Let me know if we have any questions at all. This is kind of a neat little thing to learn. The Shape Builder is a really cool tool, in my opinion. Thanks and have a great day.